Shalom, shalom. Before I begin, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and blessings on all you sincere brethren pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. To the 144,000, the house of David, shalom. It's Brother Dama Agabar here from GMS Los Angeles with another lesson, Lord willing to edify. All right, this is just going to be another follow-up video to my previous video dealing with the foolish and unlearned rebuttals of that guy Vocab Malone, basically saying that the Edomites are basically done away with. But as you read the parable in Matthew the 13th chapter, which I'm about to read, it's further going to prove to you, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, that the Edomites have sown their, like I said in my previous video, the Edomites have sown their seed amongst all nations. Esau, Edom is scattered amongst all nations. Just like the 12 tribes of Israel has scattered their seed amongst all nations, so has the wicked, the biblical Edomites, the so-called white man, so you can understand. And and that's why we always tell you, we always when we out there teaching, we always tell you that the seed is according to the man, that there's no such things as mixed seeds. There's no such thing as a mixed race, because the Lord made it to where you are of the seed of your father. So even if an Edomite or a so-called white man lays with an Asian woman, guess what? That seed that's being planted inside of that so-called Asian woman is going to be the seed of the so-called white man, the seed of Esau, Edom. And the same with the nation of Israel, the same with any man of any nation on this planet Earth, man. It don't matter what woman of any nation that he lays with, that seed will be of that particular nation. And it's the same with this damn devil. And as we know, Vocab came out and said that there's no more, basically archetypical Edomites, all right? We don't know what happened to them. They were destroyed many times over, yada, 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 yada. But prophecy says otherwise, all right? And as we've been, going in, particular brothers on this subject, we're further proving that through scriptures that this man is a false man, and he doesn't understand the scriptures, and he is, trying to plead his cause and trying to get Esau, Edom off the hook, but it's impossible. All right, your judgment has already been set. The Lord has already appointed your bounds that you cannot pass, and you are going to be destroyed. You will face your judgment, and the Edomites will be here when Yahweh Shai returns. All right. So I'm gonna get this quick precept, prove this point, and Lord willing, you be edified. This is Matthew 13:24. It says, "Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way." All right. So who was the good seed? The good seed is the nation of Israel, the Israelites, all right? But who was the enemy that came and sowed tares among the wheat? Is the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, all right? And particularly when he captured the so-called Negroes, and I'm just using this as an example because he did the same unto the northern kingdom, the so-called Latinos, Native Americans, up and down Central and South America. When he came here, Christopher Columbus, the Spanish, the French, the Dutch, a lot of those Edomites, when they came and colonized different parts of the Americas, they raped a lot of the women of the nation of Israel, and they sold their tares among the wheat. They sold their wicked seed amongst the good seed, man. It says, "But while men slept, his enemies came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way." And one thing about tares and wheat is that they look identical. All right. And that's why we always tell you that, we have to, search the spirit by the spirit, man. And that's why we're able to tell you that particular, men or nations of people have to be Israelites. For instance, Bruce Lee. We can tell by the spirit that Bruce Lee has that he has to be an Israelite. All right. Even though he looks like a so-called Asian man, he looks like, somebody from the East. He looks like one of the other nations. His spirit, his spirits bear witness with our spirit that he is of the 12 tribes of Israel, man. You see, but you have to have spiritual discernment to do so. And that's why, and we can discern the same between Jakes. You got a lot of Jakes out here who come, who look like Jake. They have some of the attributes, they have the woolly hair, the dark skin, but their spirit is off, man. you know, or just like you'll have some particular Hamite nations which look like Israelites, but their spirit is not right. You know, and if you're a spiritual man, you can pick up on these things. You can feel it in a spirit that something ain't right with this guy. He's not right. And that's, you know, and we have the ability to discern spirits, man. You know, now, you know, of course, we're, you know, a lot of the time, sometimes we could be wrong, babe, but I think more times than not, we're right through the spirit, you know. And you just know a spirit of Jake when you come across a spirit of Jake in one of these speckled birds. And just like we know the spirit of an Edomite inside of these speckled birds as well, man, because like we say all the time, you got a bunch of chocolate covered Edomites running around here, running around the earth, man. It says, but while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. All right. And let's look up this word for a tare. Where is it? All right, let's get this in the Greek. And the word is zizonion. Zizonion. Let's get the devil to say it.
Strong's G 2215. Zizonion.
It says zizonion, a kind of darnel resembling wheat, except the grains are black. You see, so it's something that resembles wheat. Like, for a perfect example is that guy Herod, man. We know the history of Herod, that his mother was a so-called Israelite woman, a Judite woman, a woman of dark skin, but his father was an Edomite. So we know that he probably had a lot of the attribute. He probably looked like a light-skinned Jake, you know, a mixed Jake. But guess what? His spirit was totally off, man. He had the spirit of an Edomite. And even Yahushua called him a fox, man, because Yahushua knew that that he was a tare amongst the wheat. All right. So let me get this. I just did a simple Google search saying I typed in what is a wheat tare. It says tares are weeds that resemble wheat. All right. And these weeds, you know, can be synonymous with the seed of the wicked one. You know, it says tares are weeds that resemble wheat. So like I said, you can have a particular Israelite woman who have laid with a white man, but the mitochondrial DNA of that child that was born could resemble more of the mother and could have dark skin, could have woolly hair, you know. Could it could pass for a so-called Negro if you didn't know the origins of his father. Let's say the father was out of the picture and this black woman was raising this child. You'd be like, oh, he's probably mixed or whatever the case might be. So he could look like a Jake. You know, a good example is Tia and Tamara Lowry. All right. Now they look like so-called Negro women. We know that, you know, like not knowing that their father was an Edomite and she was just like, oh, I'm just mixed. You would naturally think because of how they look, oh, I bet you her mother is white. But really, it's the other way around. Her father is white, you know, and they come from the seed of their father, but they could pass for a so-called black woman. But when you watch them and see how they act and how they maneuver, man, they totally have the spirit of Edomites, man. They don't have the spirit of an Israelite woman. Their spirit is off. It's different. It's not. You know, it's they got that weed spirit, that spirit of Esau upon them. All right. And there's plenty of examples of that. It says in the parable, a wheat field has deliberately been polluted by an enemy. Who was that enemy? Esau, Edom, the wicked, who sowed the seeds of the weeds intermixed with the wheat. Only after the plants were partly grown did the problem become apparent. Yeah, so it's like once these children grow up and you start to discern their spirits and you be around them and you start to vibe, fill them out, you feel like, man, their spirit ain't right, man. They ain't got the spirit of a Jake, man. You know, you might watch them play basketball. They got 2 left feet. They can't hoop, or just their spirit is just off. If something ain't right about it, man, it don't vibe right with you, you know? And that's how we know that, hey, they got the spirit of a damn Edomite, man. And then, upon further examination, you find out, her father was white. Her seed line goes back to the wicked, man. Her seed line's been, the black woman, well, not the black woman's seed, but the seed of her father, that black woman has been, she brought forth a seed that was polluted with the seed of the wicked, man. It says, only after the plants were partly grown did the problem become apparent. The landowner's servants asked if they should go in and pull out the tares, which that's what Yahushua is going to eventually do, man. All right. So we know that Esau has laid down with a lot of Israelite women and spread his seed amongst the women of our nation. But what did they produce? A bunch of tares amongst the wheat, man. See, it says, but when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servant of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou not sow good seed in thy field? From whence then had it tares? He said unto them, An enemy have done this. And who was the enemy? Esau, man. You know? And you had Esau doing a whole lot of this during the time of slavery, man. But that don't necessarily mean that Esau laid down with every single so-called Israelite woman in slavery. Now, he could have laid down with, a lot of them. But guess what? Maybe he laid down with one and she had that one seed. But maybe she had, an actual Israelite husband that she could have had 3, 4, 5 other children with. But that one child that came from that slave master, that's a tare. That's, And we're not denying that happened. We're not saying that was impossible. We know that it did happen, man. But that don't mean that every other Israelite man that was on that plantation that lay with Israelite women, those seeds that he produced were wheat. The seeds of those were Israelites, man. But you did have the enemy come in and do this, man. And we acknowledge it. And those children, no matter how dark they came out, were this tares. They were seed. Those are the seeds of the wicked. Those are black Edomites, man. And if he grew up and had children with black women, and those children had children, his sons had sons. Those are all Edomite children, man. But they're the tares amongst the wheat. You see? It says, he said unto them, An enemy have done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let them both grow together unto the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. You see? And, the harvest is speaking of the end of the world, man. Because like I said, there's a lot of these, you got a lot of tares out here looking like the wheat. You got a lot of chocolate Edomites out here, man. You got a lot of Edomites amongst the northern kingdom, amongst Issachar, amongst Asher, amongst Reuben, amongst Zebulun, amongst Judah, Benjamin, Levi. And some of them are probably doing a good job passing, man. And like I said, we know we can discern spirits. We can be like, man, that dude's spirit ain't right, man. But, when all is said and done, when at the end of the world, guess what? Yahweh Shai is going to discern, and he's going to send out the angels to gather up these tares. And all of those that are Edomites, amongst, all those that are Edomites amongst the tares are going to be gathered up and burnt and destroyed eventually, man. So there's no way in hell that Esau has been totally done away with and erased out of the earth, man. He's mingled his seed amongst all nations, man, and even amongst the 12 tribes of Israel. But the day is going to come to where, hey, the Lord's going to gather them up and burn them and separate the tares from the wheat in that day. So Esau, Edom has to still be here. And that's why Isaiah the 63rd chapter totally cuts your whole narrative and your whole BS, man, what you're trying to pass off. But, let's read this 37 on down because Yahweh Shai is going to explain the parable as I just did. This is Matthew 13 and 37. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, which are the Israelites, man. It says, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. And who's the wicked one? Esau, Edom. All right. He laid his seed amongst the good seed amongst the Israelites, and at the end, the Lord's going to totally get rid of him and separate him and burn him up, man. So you have Esau still here, man. He ain't gone anywhere. He still has to face his judgment, It says the enemy that sold them is the devil, who's the devil and Satan, man. We know who the devil and Satan is, man, on this planet Earth in the physical form. It's the biblical Edomites, man. It says the enemy that sold them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. So, hey, no matter where these Edomites are, no matter where they mingled themselves and they're hiding amongst Israel, guess what? The Lord's going to send the angels to seek them out and gather them up and burn them, man. So there shall be none remaining of the house of Esau. It says, the Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and them which do iniquity. And that's the whole lineage and a household of Edom, man. You know, the Lord's gonna gather them out of He's gonna gather them, man, and they're gonna be eventually done away with and burnt out of the earth, man. It says, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who have ears to hear, let him hear. And as we know, Vocab Malone don't have ears to hear, and he can't hear this. He'll deny this and fight it and say, well, I don't mean that, but never give you an answer of what it truly means, man. Or if he do try to give you an answer, it'll be some totally off the wall, way out of left field BS, man. All right. So, you know, hey, I just wanted to go into that real quick and just do another follow-up lesson to my previous lesson. And Lord willing, you were edified. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Lord willing, you were edified. Shalom.